Hello, all you lovely people out there in internet land, and happy Easter, wherever you may be. I am Eddie Mack, the lead voice of the CAW Champions League, and we're sort of in a bit of a break from March Madness, even though we're kind of in April right now, but please just go along with it. We're here to talk about March Madness and what is coming up the rest of the way. The quarterfinals will take place over 3 shows beginning Wednesday, April 7th, with the semifinals to take place on April 14th. That'll be one big 3-hour show. And the finals will take place on April 18th. Of course, dates are subject to change. The winners of the March Madness tournament on the men's and women's sides will compete for the CCL World and Women's Championships at CCL Uprising 5 Homecoming on Saturday, April 24th, though that date is also subject to change. We should have a new match or two announced for Uprising 5 coming up within the next day or so. At this time, we would like to introduce the 23 participants that have made it into the second half of the March Madness tournament. This is spoilers now. Last chance to get out. Okay. Here are the participants, starting with the challengers in the men's March Madness tournament. Bull Dooley. The Devil, Blade Myers. Jeremy Killer Paisley. And the former Tiger the Dark, Takuma. Introducing now the challengers in the women's March Madness tournaments. The Lethal Vixen, Carmelita Fox. The Dynasty of One, Envy. Sekai Ichiban, Akira Hagiwara. And the Jinx, Trixie Decker. Here now are the contenders in the men's March Madness tournaments. The Soldier, Atlas Jones. The French Phenom, John Blackos. The Iconic Deity, Mikey Truth. And the Thievius Raccoonus, Sly Cooper. Introducing now the surviving contenders in the women's March Madness tournaments. The Black Rose, Annie Cortez. The Cinderella Sensation, Ovana. Pyra. Here now are the champions in the men's March Madness tournaments. The Miracle, Al Cabrera. The Determination Machine, Malik Brown. The Threat, Mason Chronic. And Great Walter Scott. Finally, here are the champions in the women's March Madness tournaments. The Speed Demon, Elizabeth Friesen. The Tomb Raider, Lara Croft. The Russian Nightmare, Morgan Raincroft. And the Violet Riot, Rockstar Nadi. And now a look at all 6 brackets as to how the remaining participants reached the quarterfinal round. We will begin with the women's challengers bracket. Envy defeated 2 to reach this round, knocking off Dixie Clements and Vanessa Delphine. Carmelita Fox knocked off former CCL Women's Champion Taylor Starr. Sakura Hagiwara defeated Mai Shiranui. And Trixie Decker pulled one of the big upsets of the tournament, knocking out the forefront Oseko. The women's contenders bracket looks like this. Pyra defeated Chun-Li in the first round, and With Low Star Luminous and Kite Young ironically both taken out by Power, that leaves her quarterfinal match in question at the moment. Andy Cortez defeated Psylocke, and Ivana had to win too, defeating Julia Cortez and Black Widow to reach this point. Can Ivana knock off a second Cortez to reach the semifinals? Women's Champions bracket looks like this. Elizabeth Priest defeated two to reach this round. Wonder Woman and Christy Montero. Morgan Raycroft knocked off Beryl Bellum in a very physical match. Lara Croft knocking off Tia Schultz. And Nadi knocked off Laura Matsuda to reach the quarterfinal round. On the men's side, beginning with the challengers bracket, Bull Dooley defeated Matt Farrell and Chris James to reach the quarterfinal round. Jeremy Paisley knocked off the Precision Pilot James Needham. Takuma knocking off Dante Styles, and Blade Myers had to win two as well, defeating Casey Gordon and Nitro to reach the quarterfinal round. Looking now at the men's contenders bracket. Sly Cooper knocked off two former CCL World Champions to reach the quarterfinals in Armageddon and Tommy Kazarian. John Blackos knocked off a CCL World Champion himself in AJ Young. Mark Austin defeated Atlas Jones, and Mikey Truth defeated two to reach the second round, knocking off former CCL Tag Team Champion The Big Lebowski and one of the most prolific performers in CAW history, TGO, to reach the quarterfinal round. And finally, the men's champions bracket looks like this. Vincent Cipriani knocking off two former CCL World Champions in the Great D and Mason Chronic to reach the quarterfinals. Walter Scott knocked out All Stars champion The Ben Hopkins to reach the quarterfinals. Malik Brown's knocked out Claudio Dragonheart, and Al Cabrera pulled a bit of an upset, knocking off former CCL World and National and Tag Team Champion Matt Phoenix. So how do they match up? I'm sure you're curious. If the brackets went by a little too fast for you, here's a rundown of how they match up and, more importantly, when they will match up. Beginning with Day 8, the Miracle Al Cabrera will take on the Determination Machine Malik Brown. The Soldier Atlas Jones will take on the Iconic Deity Mikey Truth. The Speed Demon Elizabeth Priest will take on the Russian Nightmare Morgan Raycroft. And Sekada Ichiban Sako Hagiwara will take on the Jinx Trixie Decker. Here's a look now at the Day 9 lineup. Blade Myers, the Devil, will take on the former Tiger of the Dark, Takuma. The Threat Mason Chronic will take on Great Walter Scott. Power will take on an opponent to be determined. She will get an opponent. And the Black Rose, Andy Cortez, will take on the Cinderella Sensation, Ivana. And here now is what the Day 10 lineup looks like for March Madness. The French Phenom, John Blackos, will take on the Thievius Raccoonus, Sly Cooper. Bull Dooley will take on Jeremy Killer Paisley. The Tomb Raider Lara Croft will take on the Violet Riot Rockstar Nadi. And the Lethal Vixen Carmelita Fox will take on the Dynasty of One, Envy. Just a reminder, the Quarterfinals will take place over 3 shows beginning April 7th, with the semifinals to take place April 14th, and the finals on April 18th. Dates, of course, are subject to change. And ultimately, the winners of the men's and women's March Madness tournaments will have a big opportunity. They'll have an opportunity at the CCL World and Women's Championships at Uprising 5 on Saturday, April 24th. That date, of course, is subject to change. And with that, this video is over. Thank you for joining me for this March Madness update. I'm Eddie Mack. Happy Easter. And we'll see you at the Madness. Talk to you later.